The football world just exploded. Social media is on fire. Shedeur Sanders' name is everywhere, and it's not because of another college highlight reel. No, this time it's different. This time, the stakes are higher, the spotlight is brighter, and the conversation has shifted from if to when. What just happened has sent shockwaves through the NFL, sparked intense debates among analysts, divided fan bases, and reignited one of the most compelling father-son stories in sports history. And if you thought you knew what was coming next for Deion Sanders' son, you're about to realize you were only seeing part of the picture. Before we dive deep into this story, if you love football drama, real insider breakdowns, and stories that go beyond the headlines, hit that subscribe button right now. You don't want to miss what's coming next on this channel. Let's rewind and understand how we got here, because Shedeur Sanders' journey to this exact moment didn't start yesterday. It started years ago, under the brightest spotlight imaginable, with the most famous father in football standing right beside him. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just born into football royalty, he was born into an empire. His father, Deion "Primetime" Sanders, is a Hall of Famer, a two-sport legend, a Super Bowl champion, and one of the most charismatic athletes to ever live. When you're the son of Primetime, you don't just play football, you perform. You're watched, you're judged. Every throw, every decision, every post-game interview is analyzed through a lens that most college quarterbacks will never experience, and Shedeur has lived under that microscope since high school. He started his college career at Jackson State, following his father, who had just taken over as head coach in a move that shocked the sports world. Deion didn't go to a Power 5 school, he went to an HBCU, to Jackson State, with a mission to elevate black college football and change the narrative. And Shedeur was his quarterback. Together, they dominated the SWAC. Shedeur threw for over 6,000 yards and 70 touchdowns in 2 seasons. He led Jackson State to back-to-back conference championships. He became the face of a cultural movement in college football. But that was just the beginning. When Deion made the jump to Colorado, taking over a Buffaloes program that had been struggling for years, Shedeur came with him. And what happened next was nothing short of a media phenomenon. Colorado became the biggest story in college football almost overnight. Primetime brought his swagger, his star power, his recruiting magic, and his quarterback's son to Boulder. The hype was unreal. ESPN couldn't get enough. Social media exploded. Every game felt like an event. Shedeur's first season at Colorado in 2023 was a roller coaster. The Buffs started hot, shocking TCU in Week 1 in a game that felt like a coronation. Shedeur threw for over 500 yards in his debut. The nation was watching. But then reality set in. Colorado struggled. The offensive line was porous. Shedeur took hit after hit, sack after sack. Critics started questioning whether the hype was deserved, whether Deion's coaching style would work at the Power 5 level, whether Shedeur was being protected or exposed. But through it all, Shedeur kept playing. He finished the 2023 season with over 3,200 yards, 27 touchdowns, and showed poise under pressure that impressed scouts. He didn't just survive the chaos, he showed flashes of elite quarterbacking. Quick release, accurate deep ball, leadership, composure, the traits were there. Then came 2024, his final college season. Colorado improved. The offensive line got better. Shedeur got better. He threw for over 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, and just 10 interceptions. He led Colorado to a winning record and kept them in the hunt for Big 12 contention deep into the season. His completion percentage was elite. His decision-making improved. His pocket presence was NFL caliber. Scouts started taking him seriously, not as Deion's son, but as a legitimate first-round quarterback prospect. And then, just as the pre-draft process was heating up, as mock drafts were flying around, as NFL teams were scheduling private workouts, the news dropped.
Shedeur Sanders was invited to participate in the 2025 NFL Pro Bowl games.
Wait, stop. Let's be clear about what this means, because this isn't normal. The Pro Bowl invitation wasn't for playing in the Pro Bowl game itself, obviously, since Shedeur hasn't been drafted yet. This was for the Pro Bowl Games Week, the NFL's annual All-Star event that now includes a series of skills competitions, flag football games, and showcase events. And the NFL invited top draft prospects to participate alongside current NFL stars. This is huge. This is the NFL saying, "We see you. We're putting you on the same field as the best players in the league before you're even drafted." It's a marketing move, yes, but it's also a statement. The league is betting on Shedeur Sanders' star power. They're betting on his name, his brand, his ability to draw eyeballs. And in the modern NFL, where personality and marketability matter almost as much as arm talent, that's not a small thing. The moment the news broke, social media erupted. Twitter, now X, was flooded with reactions. Shedeur's name shot to the top of trending topics. Hashtags like Pro Bowl Shedeur and Primetime Legacy started circulating. Fans were hyped, analysts were debating, critics were questioning. Some people celebrated it. They saw it as recognition of Shedeur's talent, his grind, his ability to carry Colorado through chaos and still produce at an elite level. They pointed to his stats, his leadership, his NFL-ready traits. They argued that he deserves to be in that conversation with the top quarterbacks in this draft class.
Others were skeptical. They called it a publicity stunt. They argued that Shedeur is being elevated because of his last name, because of his father's influence, because the NFL wants the prime-time storyline to continue into the pros. They questioned whether he's really a top-tier prospect or if the hype is manufactured. And then there were the NFL draft analysts, the people who actually study tape for a living, who broke down every throw Shedeur made in college. And the consensus among most of them, Shedeur Sanders is legit. He's a first-round talent. He has the arm, the accuracy, the pocket awareness, the quick release. He's not without flaws. His deep ball accuracy can be inconsistent. He sometimes holds the ball too long, but the traits are there. The question isn't whether he can play in the NFL. The question is which team will take the risk, the reward, and the media circus that comes with drafting Deion Sanders' son. And that's where this story gets really interesting, because the Pro Bowl news didn't just put Shedeur in the spotlight. It amplified every conversation about his draft stock, his potential landing spots, and the family dynamic that makes this one of the most compelling storylines heading into the 2025 NFL Draft. Let's talk about the teams, the rumors, the whispers, the speculation.
The Las Vegas Raiders have been linked to Shedeur for months. They need a quarterback. They're picking high in the draft. And here's the kicker. There have been persistent reports that the Raiders could hire Deion Sanders as their head coach and draft Shedeur as their quarterback. Father and son reunited in the NFL in Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world. It would be the biggest story in football. It would sell tickets, jerseys, sponsorships. It would be must-watch TV every single week. But is it real? Sources close to the Raiders have been tight-lipped. Deion himself has played coy, neither confirming nor denying interest. Shedeur has said he'd love to play for his father, but also that he's ready to go wherever he's drafted and prove himself. Then there's the New York Giants. They're desperate for a quarterback. Daniel Jones is out. They're rebuilding. New York is the biggest media market in the country. Shedeur in New York under that microscope with that pressure? It would be the ultimate test. Some analysts think the Giants could take him if he's available when they pick. The Tennessee Titans are another possibility. They need a franchise quarterback. They've been linked to multiple prospects, but Shedeur's name keeps coming up. Tennessee is a smaller market, less pressure, a chance to develop without the intense scrutiny of New York or Las Vegas. And then there are the wild card teams, the Cleveland Browns if they move on from Deshaun Watson, the New Orleans Saints if they decide to rebuild at quarterback, even teams picking later in the first round who might trade up if Shedeur starts sliding. The Pro Bowl invitation added fuel to all of this speculation. It put Shedeur on the same stage as NFL stars, gave him more exposure, more visibility, more leverage. It also gave scouts and GMs another chance to see him up close, to evaluate his personality, his competitiveness, his football IQ in a different setting. And Shedeur handled it perfectly. He showed up to the Pro Bowl events confident but humble. He participated in the skills competitions, competed hard, and stayed professional in every interview. He didn't shy away from the spotlight, but he also didn't feed the hype machine. He let his actions speak. But the real story here isn't just about the Pro Bowl. It's about what comes next. Because Shedeur Sanders is about to enter the most scrutinized pre-draft process of any quarterback prospect in recent memory. He'll have private workouts with teams. He'll sit in war rooms and be grilled on his football knowledge. He'll be poked, prodded, tested, and evaluated in ways that go far beyond what happens on the field. And through it all, he'll have his father's legacy hanging over him. He'll have defenders who believe in him unconditionally, and critics who will never give him a fair shot because of his last name. He'll have social media dissecting his every move. He'll have draft analysts comparing him to other quarterbacks in this class. He'll have teams trying to decide if they're drafting a franchise quarterback or a media spectacle. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Shedeur Sanders is a talented quarterback with NFL traits and areas to improve, just like every other prospect. But he's also a brand, a story, a cultural moment. And in the modern NFL, that matters. The Pro Bowl news was just the latest chapter in a story that's been building for years. It's a story about legacy, pressure, talent, hype, and the unique burden of being Deion Sanders' son. It's a story that won't end until draft night, when Shedeur's name is called, when he puts on an NFL jersey for the first time, when he steps onto an NFL field and finally gets the chance to prove that he's more than just Primetime's kid. And that's why he's trending everywhere. That's why the football world can't stop talking about him. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback prospect, he's the next generation of a football dynasty. And the NFL, whether they admit it or not, is betting on him to deliver.